Paddock live events, and exceptional eats. The Paddock restaurant is perfect for meetings, corporate functions, parties, fundraising, and more. Call 561-683-2222 extension 199 and book your next event today.
Good morning. It's Wednesday. It's 10 a.m. And you know what that time means. It's PBKC Picks here live right at the Palm Beach Kennel Club. I am not Mike Jameson, and I'm happy about that.
Wow, that's start.
And I am joined by the president of the Palm Beach Kennel Club, Mr. Pat Rooney. It's good to have you back. It's been a couple weeks. We missed you
here.
Yeah,
a couple of weeks, Noah. I'm just thinking, if you're taking Mike's spot, am I taking your spot?
You are. So this is the way it works now.
I've got to grow a goatee beard.
You have to become super handsome and tan,
all
right? And then I throw you softballs, and then you just smash them out of the park. That's what Mike does for me. Mike gives me these layups, and you just smash the things. Ernest throws some random stuff in there, and he speaks out of turn.
Pat, don't forget the homer takes and the bad takes from the Eagle guy here, okay?
Yeah, frisky and all that.
Yes.
But how you doing, Pat?
I'm doing good. I just noticed my shirt is really white.
It's
oh my God, it's
I
angelic.
said when you came in, I said I'm
like
fully
floated down
blinding.
from heaven.
We have a meeting after this. I'm fully underdressed, but I stayed in uniform. You come in looking fully sharp and crisp.
I just want to note it. I'm not dead, so I'm not like a ghost
Shout out.
spiritual figure.
Shout out to your cleaner, Pat.
Efrem the
your
Ghost?
dry cleaner.
Really?
Shout
Is it
out.
Efrem the Ghost?
It's something else.
I could be the ghost from shows past, but
amazing.
making a special
Are
appearance.
you a starch guy? You go with the
you know what? I used to be a starch guy, and it felt way too uncomfortable. It took a while for it to break in, so then I went to light starch, and even that. So now I'm like no starch.
All right, no starch.
But
water.
it doesn't keep the shirt quite as unwrinkly as it did before. But I feel more comfortable.
Okay.
So I've gone with the trade-off.
Well, speaking of wrinkly, we have Ernest here.
What's
Ernest, how you doing
what's
today?
What's up, Skinny?
It's good to see you, Ernest.
How small has
you
he gotten
doing?
3 weeks been gone?
I
Is he shrinking?
Look at this guy.
He's
No,
shrinking,
he is.
bro.
I'm maintaining now. I'm at 183 pounds, and that's where I'm going to try to stay in
GLP-1 are
there.
you on? Which one?
No GLP.
120
I'm on
is the head?
Divorce 2. Divorce 2 is my new.
That'll do it.
That'll do it too. So I stripped it
That'll
off.
kill your appetite.
That's where we're at right
God,
now.
Noah,
But let's
we're a
get into
mess.
this thing. Enough of the antics. So we had the Belmont this week, and you're going to speak on this, and I know you're going to have something to say. So we had the same winner, Golden Tempo, who won the Kentucky Derby, who sat out the Belmont, and then goes ahead and wins the Preakness.
No, he sat at the Preakness, and he
wins the
won
Belmont. What are your thoughts on this?
where
It
I'm
comes from.
going with this.
I know exactly where you're going. Come from 12 lengths behind and just runs away with it. The sport had it teed up for something great.
Obviously, this is a special horse. Obviously, that if you win 2 legs of the Triple Crown, you can win the 3rd leg. I get it. I understand the money is ridiculous, and you're worried about the horse's health and all that. But you have one chance at immortality with a horse. Generally, most trainers and owners do not get more than one chance with a horse. They did this last year with what was the horse not journalism. It was the other one. I'm like, you have one chance at this to do this. It's set up for this reason. And I don't understand, in my opinion, why you'd even enter the horse if you have no intention of trying for the Triple Crown if it wins. That's the part that bugs me. Don't even enter the horse. I just drives me nuts that people are like, oh, I'm worried about the safety of the horse. I'm worried about bull. You won the Derby, and now you're like, well, I don't want to risk devaluing this horse if we run him in the Preakness and he comes in last, so I'm going to hold him out. All right, then hold him out of the Belmont too. Don't run him in that either. If you're going to just say the Derby is it, and we want to have that be the special thing for this horse, and yeah, he wasn't the favorite, so maybe we didn't quite think he was that level, but it turns out that I think he was. it just drives me up. They did ask the woman trainer. Somebody had it, like, did you even think? She's like, I don't even want to go there. I'm like, that's bull.
You have
I'm like,
to.
you are so weak. That is such loser mentality. I hate that. You didn't even give the animal a chance. And that part bugs me. So I get it. I understand the money. I understand, the stature of the thing and all that and breeding and everything else. I get it. But you're in sports to win it. You're in sports to do something special, and you had a chance, and you opted not to even try. And that drives me nuts.
And away we go at Pat. 3 weeks of holding it
Yes.
in. Let's
Yeah,
go.
That's
Let's
right.
go.
What do you think, Ernest?
I don't have anything to say about that. I didn't follow him, unfortunately.
I do. Like Pat said, touch on the horse got robbed. The horse is born to run. That horse, all that the horse does from the time it's what do they say for a horse? Like it's birth or it's like there's something. There's a different word for it. Anyway, that horse comes out and that horse is trained to run. That's all it does. It runs and it runs more. And you're supposed to let it run. Let the horse run. And that horse got robbed of immortality to be on that list.
I hate they shouldn't have seen that.
And now we have the asterisk and the question marks and like, oh, what if it ran? Well, it should have run. Is there a way to fix this thing, Pat? Do you think is there anything you could do? There's nothing. I don't know if there's a carrot big enough to overcome the breeding value anymore.
But just like everything else, it was set up a certain way 100 years ago, or how longer, 100 plus years ago, when they set up this Triple Crown. It just is the way it is. If you want to give it more time now between the Derby and the Preakness, or the Preakness and the Belmont, if you want to do that, then you're not going up against those greats of old, because they did it during this schedule. They did it during the 5-6 weeks, whatever this is. Secretariat did it during this 6-week stretch. So if you want to elongate the time and go an extra week or 2 weeks, even with that, who's to say these people aren't going to be like, I know it's an extra week, but I still don't feel like it, blah, blah, blah. So you got to do it in this 5-6 week period. That's if you want to measure yourself against history. You have to do it what the other great horses did it.
I agree. 100%.
So,
am I mistaken? At a regular track, say Gulfstream or wherever, they run every 10 days, don't they? A horse on a regular schedule isn't ever longer than 2 weeks, I don't believe.
I think they do. They run 7 to 10 days. Yeah. Generally, this is 2 weeks. So I get it. It's tight. I understand all the arguments that you have, but that's exactly what you said. No, the horses are bred to do this. It's not like we're just going to throw a cow out there and the poor thing's, going to have a heart attack on the course. I just can't fathom I can't fathom being the owner of the horse or the trainer and being like, man, this horse is what we thought it was. And we're just not going to even try. I'm like, what?
Soft that
yeah,
society,
I wonder how that conversation goes between the trainer, the jockey, the owner.
Yeah.
Like it's
we're soft, man. We're soft society now.
It is. You're right.
You're
right, Ernest. It's more of the softification of SAFT.
SAWFT. Soft.
Nuts.
We got words for this that we can't use on here.
You talk about basketball and the load management.
Yeah.
You talk about guys in football that aren't playing because they got a toenail and they're taking 2 games off. And,
Thank you.
And I'm just like, what have we become? Where are the real men and women that that played through anything? Again, I hate going back, to my youth, but Michael Jordan played all 82 games almost every season and exhibition games.
Pat, especially when the money's better, significantly better than it was back then.
Right.
So there's an incentive to play. I don't get it, man.
And
maybe I'm getting old too, because
you are getting old.
Yeah.
But there's no more intestinal fortitude. That's the bottom line. All right, so
big work for you, buddy.
It is.
I like that.
I studied before I got here because I knew I was taking a seat. I had to. All right, so let's. We talked last week about Myles Garrett and A.J. Brown. I'd like to hear Pat's takes on these. This is going to affect your division, Pat, obviously a little bit. So what do you think?
I think if you look through history, and I don't have any empirical data to back this up, but I do think when a big player like a main player actually leaves a team. I'm just going on, again, my own remembrance of stuff. A lot of times that team ends up being good or better than what they were with the guy. And maybe it's a sense of, all right, we don't have this special player anymore. We as a team have to rally around and become better. I think of Micah Parsons when he left and went to Green Bay. Dallas didn't completely collapse. They just readjusted and other guys step up and And that's a weird thing in team sports. You know, you think, oh, my God, we're relying on this guy so much, and when he's gone, we don't have a chance. Now, maybe for the quarterback position, that might be true. But every other position, it's like, well, we got this guy. We got this guy. You step up. You know, now the pressure in a weird way is off because everybody expects you to suck. So now it's like we're going to step up and
like
take
today,
over for that vacuum.
Like today. Like that's what we're doing right here, right now.
Absolutely.
With Mike
Mike's
on.
not here.
I'm
We're
going to tell Mike that.
We're better now. We're better without Mike.
So I wouldn't be surprised at all if Cleveland isn't just as good, if not even better. I like Verse. I you know, now Schwartz isn't there, and that hurts them. But I think that team can rally around whoever they're going to put in there, and they'll probably be okay. Now, for Myles Garrett, I think it's an excellent move on his part. He's going to a Super Bowl contender. This is one of the big things that the Rams had issues with last year, and he is certainly a run stopper and can get to the quarterback and all that stuff. And if Aaron Donald somehow comes back,
oh, don't say it.
I don't know what that front line is going to be
Don't
like.
get me started, bro.
So
say that.
I think it's a good move actually for both teams, and I think the Browns. Again, they haven't had a great success drafting guys and things like that. But if they can use the pick and versus a lot younger and rally around whoever's going to take his place, I think their defense is going to be just as good. Their issue is always like the Steelers is trying to find a quarterback. They gotta settle on somebody, whether it's Deshaun Watson or Shador, and try and figure out if either one of them can play or can still play, and that's going to be their biggest question.
I'm glad you mentioned that too. Also, that analogy because it makes sense because it reminded me of a situation that happened recently in the NFL with the Buffalo Bills when they moved Stephon Diggs. I remember saying on this show, the first show we started this podcast, I said that move was addition by subtraction. You know, it's not that he's not good. It's just the environment. It's just the situation that maybe removing that mouth and that I don't want to call him malcontent, but it is what it is.
Well, you talk about Ernest, like
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown. So. I think this is specific to receivers in the NFL.
Right.
When they get to a certain level of greatness or whatever you want to call it, most of them now, they're not like Jerry Rice in the old days. And
correct.
They're still going to plug along and all that. They get to this, I want every pass. I don't give a crap about the team situation or whatever. I want the ball all the time, every time, for my stats and for me to be great and all this other stuff. And when that happens, and that happened with AJ in Philadelphia, when that happens, you have to get rid of them. I don't care how good they are. They are not going to be good for the team. They're not going to be good for any kind of a structured offensive attack because they're going to be complaining all the time.
And especially when if you take Noah's take here, you have a top 3 quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
You don't need a guy like that.
I do. I don't know if
right, Noah?
top
right?
3, but I think he's good. Now, here's the thing with Brown. I think he'll be fine. The Pats are going to get 1 year out of him. They're going to get 1 year where he's a good guy.
Even if he wins the Super Bowl,
I'm going to give him
melt
1.
down. If they win the whole thing, he's still melted down.
I'm going to give him 1 year with this guy, and they better win the damn Super Bowl this year because he will quickly go. He's already done it. So he's going to be like, I want the ball more.
I want to ask you this, Pat, because I asked Noah this, and Noah got mad at me for saying this. Does this move now put more pressure on Jalen Hurts now to not say to produce, but you can't no longer use the excuse now, well, the locker room is kind of mad because of AJ Brown. Now that the problem's gone, Jalen Hurts now.
I want to answer this again.
I don't. To answer your question, I don't think it does. I think the Eagles have other – they just got this kid from USC. Yeah. I think the Eagles now have what we just talked about. They have enough other guys at the receiver position that can fill in for Brown.
You, yes.
The team I think that actually has pressure is Drake May and the Pats. Now it's all like, all right, we got you this stud receiver. We're one game game away from winning the Super Bowl. Now we got you the guy. I think the pressure is now going to be on May a lot more than Hurts because they got him the asset. So, and I don't. Here's the other thing. Where's Sully? Is he here? I don't think this is going to end up well for the Pats. I really don't. I think May's going to take a little bit of a step back this year, and Brown is going to try to be good and a good teammate. And he might not make it through this year without getting mad because I don't think May's going to be quite as good as he was
because
last
I agree
year.
with you on principle. It's just that the media will media no matter what.
Right.
So
Well, I'm going to add to that. So now Jalen Hurts gets to play without having two of the best wide receivers, all that stuff that they put on him. So actually you get to take that out of the equation now, and he gets to just perform with an above-average receiver core, or if you will. I think they're pretty good. But if you read the story, and I got this information last night late.
Okay.
A.J. Brown went back to the facility yesterday to grab his last things, and there was a poster on the wall of him on the wall, and he signed it. A.J. Brown, always open, the best to ever do it here.
I saw that.
On the way out the door at the facility is bizarre behavior. That's like a kick in the nuts on the way out. It's like there's no reason for that. You don't need to do that, but that shows you absolutely where
petty.
we were at with this whole thing. It's kind of
very
crazy,
petty,
but
and
yeah.
he better. And that's the thing with A.J. Brown. I hate talking crap about the guy because he is a top 5
He's
receiver
a
in the league.
great receiver.
He's top 5 in the league.
But
That's not always
it happened
everything.
It happened
Right.
to Antonio Brown. It happens to a lot of guys. They get to a level, and then they start thinking, I'm the team. No one else is. I am. And I'm not getting the ball enough. So I got to start acting crazy and get out of here because they're not appeasing me.
And this is what makes guys like Jerry Rice special, guys like Michael Irvin special, that they were guys, elite guys, but did not take away from the team.
Careful with Irvin.
Calm down, bro.
Crazy.
Eagle guy. You're going to start
Irvin
doing that
was
thing?
a little. He likes
No.
Michael Irvin liked Michael
probably
Irvin
the
a
best,
lot.
probably the best leader in that team, also too.
Maybe.
Let's be real about that.
Yeah. All right. So another guy that might be moved or they're talking about if this contract doesn't get done.
Your favorite quarterback?
I'm going to wait till you guys talk on this.
Your guy.
Baker Mayfield is in the contract negotiations with the Bucs right now. I don't foresee a holdout, but what do you think of this?
Well, I know
he wants more money.
You're not a Baker guy.
No.
I am. I like Baker. I'm not saying he can win the Super Bowl. So there's always that. My whole thing with quarterbacks is you have to believe at some point they can win the Super Bowl, and if you don't, then you need to move on and find a guy that you think can. I'm right on the edge with Baker. I think he's got enough ability and he's got enough moxie and everything else, but it's close. He's been around now a while, and he still hasn't been able to break through. So we're getting to that demarcation line of this guy's getting older, and he still hasn't gotten us. You need to see like something out of Baker where he upsets a couple teams, and oh my God, he's in the NFC Championship game, and and we haven't seen that from him. And we're getting close to that time where you need to. I still think the Bucs should re-sign him. I think they should give him an extension because you need to find out if he's going to be that guy in the next couple of years. And I don't know who they have backing him up that you think might be able to take his place or who they think they can get. So for that instance alone, I would say you need to, as long as it's not something absolutely ridiculous.
Well, that's the problem, I think.
And that's what they got. They have to agree to that.
I think that it's a number situation now because right now his current deal is like somewhere between 30 and 40 right now. So the market now for a elite quarterback is what, 60 million right now? 50 to 60 million? Is Baker Mayfield worth $56 million a year? I don't know. They're in a peculiar situation, though, because the Bucs right now are in the place you don't want to be in sports, which is like mediocrity. Because they're lucky to play in a division they play in, because otherwise they would have no shot competing with any team in the to win the division. So I think the Bucs want to wait this another year because if they fall apart this year in the worst division of football, then there's an excuse to just move on in general, start fresh and clean slate, and that includes Baker. So I think they want to wait it out. I think the issue is the numbers. I think they want to keep him, but I think the issue is the numbers. And I think $40 million per, I don't know. He is a top 10-ish quarterback in the league. I think we could all agree to that. Noah?
10-ish?
I said ish.
Yeah, 13-ish?
Oh my God! Why do you do what you do, bro? But look, it's hard. Good quarterbacks are hard to come by in this league.
They are.
So that's the issue. If he's available next spring, whatever.
Yeah, he end up in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. You say that, but yeah. So
again,
there's value there. But if you're the Bucs, because of the situation, they're not getting any better. They've regressed last couple of years. I think you play out this year, see what happens, and you figure it out from there.
Yeah, the GM and I are on the same page on this one. We're not giving him that crazy money because he's not that guy yet. This is an easy fix. This is really easy stuff. All right, you give him the base salary or whatever in that $30 million or that range that you feel he's worth, and you tell him if you get to the NFC Championship game, we'll give you another 10, and if you win the Super Bowl, we give you another 10. It's really simple stuff. You back it up. If you're going to play, Pat's saying, when are you going to do it? Back it up. But that's a problem with sports. It's like you want this money and be like, yeah, I can get us there. Well, why haven't you done that yet? And then and there's always that standoff.
And Noah, don't forget, he lost Mike Evans too. On top of that, so one weapon gone.
Yeah, and they got blown out last year, right? Or they failed at the end of the year. They melted down.
You can argue they melted down. They
So
had a
you're
chance
going
to
on the last 3 games. Yeah, meltdown. I remember. Yeah, meltdown. I was here for it. I was here for every second of it. So, yeah, whatever happens there.
all day.
And I am. And, bring me in the negotiations. I'll argue for the team side. That's easy.
No one's
to
an
do.
agent now. See
All
that?
right, so what team's going to have the biggest turnaround this season? In order to have a turnaround, in my opinion, I'd like to do both, too. You could do good to bad. There's a turnaround from good to going bad. That's a turnaround. But turnaround from bad to good, who do you think, Pat?
80s.
Well, I know you guys are going to hammer me, but I think Minnesota should be have a turnaround. I think Kyler Murray is going to play really well with McConnell as the coach. I think he feels like he has something to prove, that he's not just a first-round bust type guy. And I think in that offense, and there's no expectations at all. So, they're going to come in there with no pressure on them. Everyone's going to think Chicago should win the division and Green Bay is going to be great and all that stuff. So I think they have a chance with the system they have and Jefferson and everything else that they could be a really good team this year.
Go ask you a question. What's their ceiling, though? Because of that division. What's their ceiling?
Yeah, no,
remember, all
I
4
agree.
teams last year had winning records last year. All 4 teams.
I mean, maybe 11 games, but that's good. I still think that's a good season for them. I mean, I don't call that, like you're saying, that's not a turnaround going from 9 wins, 5 and 12 to 12 and 5. But I just don't think there's any real expectations on Minnesota. I think they can be pretty good.
I've got a couple teams actually I'm looking at. The Giants, obviously, is
yeah,
of course.
I agree with you on that. I do agree with you.
Right. That's not
but
a pick, though.
I do agree with you on
they
that.
They did well in the draft, but a lot of things hinges on the quarterback. And 2 things: the quarterback, number one, staying healthy, and that's the next thing. The neighbors' news is not really all that positive right now. So this is why you bring in OBJ and Juju Smith-Schuster here to kind of for insurance policy. So there's still a little bit of that, but right now, they did well in the draft and free agency. We'll see how that plays out. The Saints now. By default, the Saints, easy division, but Tyler shows some promise late in the year. Look at the Saints. And then these 2 teams are obviously because of what happened last year. In fact, I expect this to happen, barring injury, the Ravens and the Bengals. Come on.
Okay.
That's easy. But if they're healthy, if Burrow and Jackson are healthy all year long.
Yeah. So I think the Chiefs are a pretty easy pick, too. And I know Mahomes is going to be – how many weeks is he?
They just haven't announced anything yet.
Yeah, but even still, I think their defense is usually pretty good.
So you got Fields to back up. So let's do some math there. If let's say Mahomes is out 4 weeks, could Fields hold that down?
He could win 2 games.
Yeah, that's good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. What would happen? Imagine he catches a little bit of fire, and then you're questioning Mahomes and how good he is.
That would never happen.
Never?
Never happen.
Never happen.
No, you trade Fields.
Right, and then I had the Chiefs, and then the Raiders. I think their 3 wins last year. I think with the steps they're making, 5 would be a turnaround, in my opinion, for them. But I think they could have that. Yeah.
Michael, take that.
From good to bad, though, I think New England's going to take a step back.
I'm with you.
I think with Vrabel, and I just don't. I'm not a believer really in Drake May. I'm just not. I think he's good. Don't get me wrong, but I put him in that Bo Nix where he's good, but I just don't know if he's that Super Bowl was horrible.
He had one of the worst Super Bowls. Maybe the worst Super Bowl in the history of Super Bowls. He was bad.
I think New England's really set. Now again, they got the Dolphins and the Jets who are going to stink. But I think the Bills are actually going to be really good this year.
I have one for you for the other way, the 180.
Yeah.
Seattle.
Did you look at my notes again?
Well, because of the division.
Now, that doesn't mean – now, Craig and my old Seahawks friends out there, it doesn't mean it's going to be bad. It just means that you won't be what you guys reached the pinnacle last year. So you can only go down.
Yeah.
You might still be a playoff team, but with the Rams doing what they're doing there, San Francisco's still really good. The NFC is better in general. I think Seattle will be somewhere closer to the neighborhood of 10 wins as opposed to the 15 and 14 one last year.
You think Washington could turn around from their 5 wins?
The problem with Washington to predict, they're probably the hardest team to predict in the NFC because the quarterback, he can't stay healthy.
Right.
And so we can't evaluate anything there.
Yeah, that makes it tough. All right, speeding it up, if you had to build a championship team, who's your defensive coordinator? This is an easy one.
Defensive coordinator. I mean, I like Schwartz from Cleveland. I just think, if you can take a defense like that they had some good players, but the rest of them were just no names. I think he's just a really good. He's not a head coach, but he's a really good coordinator, and I still think he has enough that if you needed a guy, he'd be great.
He's a North Turner defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Mine is easy because I'm also a homer.
Yeah.
2007 pick, Spags, baby. Spags. I'm a Spags
Yeah, he's
homer.
good too.
2007, bro. I'm sorry. I will
There's only one pick for this. Our Lord and Savior, Vic Fangio in
Fangs?
Philadelphia.
Fangs?
Like, he is literally.
I love Fangs.
That guy.
How old is he now?
He's like 80.
I know.
Probably.
Doesn't matter.
But he's funny.
He's LeBeau, bro.
You know
He's
who
LeBeau.
he reminds me of? Your father. He gets in these meetings and he says whatever comes to his mind about these players, and he just says it. Like, whatever, no filter. He's like, yeah, this guy, he's on the bench because he can't play. He just calls it like it is, and you got to respect that. And I really see that.
That's the best part. That's the best part of being old. So you can say,
you just say it. That's where Vic's at. He's like, he's at the thing where I don't give an F anymore. And yeah, we know somebody who was like that. That was great.
I love
All right, so let's get to baseball news. Skubal, could he get traded? And is there any value in trading him? Would you trade him if you had him on your team?
Well, didn't he he have surgery or something? I mean, he's out for a while, isn't he? Something just happened to him.
He's still an ace.
Cares about the Tigers.
He's still a lock, and he's still an ace. But do you trade that if you have that guy? Then if you're getting, is there any value? If you're getting 3 prospects in return, do you do it?
Here's what I've always said about starting pitchers in baseball. Like Philly's got Zach Wheeler. If you got a stud guy, or Paul Skeens, if you got a stud guy, it works. But the Phillies had a stud guy in 1972 named Steve Carlton. They lost 50, or they won 51 games. He won 27 of them. So, I mean,
that's pretty good.
The problem with a starting pitcher is he plays once every 5 or 6 days. It's not like, you're getting Mike Trout, who's playing before he gets injured all the time, who's playing every day. So that's where you have to weigh it. If your team is relatively close to really being good, then yeah, maybe you go get this guy. But if you're one of these massive teams that are okay and everything else, and you're going to give up a lot to get him, that's the problem. He only plays once every 5 or 6 days. So that to me is the rub with it. If I was a team, and I'm trying to think of somebody that maybe you look at like the Pirates. They got Skeens. They got a couple other decent starters. If they get him, do they become now an actual world championship type team? I don't know. Maybe they do. So because their hitting's just okay. So, but you're going to have to give up a lot to get him, and so you're trying to win the whole thing basically now or next year. That's what you got to weigh if you're a GM trying to get this guy. If you're just an average type team, one super great starting pitcher probably isn't going to matter. You need a bunch of other things if you're just kind of an average team. So that would be my analysis of it if I'm a GM looking at this guy. Are we really close? And will one starting pitcher, especially when you get in play, assuming you get to playoffs and you can play this guy twice, so you're trying to get 2 wins with him, and you have another stud that can get you the other 2 wins, and you can win a series like that. All right, but you gotta be very confident. Number one, you're a playoff team, and number two, that you can use this guy, and he's going to be healthy and all that other stuff, and get secure 2 wins out of him in a playoff series.
That's an amazing point, Pat, and that's probably the best point I've heard for baseball in here in a while. That in the playoffs, the value of these guys goes way up, because you're actually trying. I never thought of it that way. That's a great insight. Yeah.
Unless the return is worth it, I lead no. And here's a number of factors. The Tigers are only 8 back in the division. This is not a good division. Let's be clear about that. So being 8 back from the first place in the division in June, that's a nothing in baseball. That's a couple good weekends, you're back in it. So the Tigers, if they wanted to, could be buyers actually as well, technically.
You could, but that's to Pat's point too. If you're 8 games back and you have one guy that can get you those wins, he's only pitching 1 out of 4 games, and then you're losing 2 of the other 3. And are you actually gaining ground? So
True.
Unless you have those other pieces, you can't gain ground. But that's really the question. If you take him out of the equation, do you keep him in the equation? Can you gain ground or not?
My next question too also is that what do you consider high alert for a pitcher age-wise? Because he's 29 years old.
Yeah, you're right. That's where you're getting into that. You're getting into that zone of how many more years and he's already got injured.
Yes.
Whatever happened. Is that going to start accumulating now? And we've given up this whole bank of guys to get him. What are you getting out of it? And realistically, that's what you have to again say. Are we getting 5-6 years out of him? Are we getting 2? And then does that justify what we're going to give up for him? I don't know. Those are tough questions.
What do you think? If you're, say, the Yankees or one of these top teams who are in position to compete every year, what is his value? Like, how much would you give up for a guy like Skubal, who would be a great number 2 behind Cole in New York, for example?
Yeah, you give up anybody who's not starting.
You give
up any prospects that aren't going to hit the field in the next year,
yeah,
and then try to win it right now.
Because if I'm the Mets, we don't have a number 1 guy. Senga's a number 1 guy. He can't stay healthy either. So we don't have a number 1 guy. So if you're the Mets, maybe not necessarily right now, but maybe in the future, do you go after a guy like Skubal and try to get 2-3 years out of this guy because of the roster you do have? Because the Mets on paper have a roster to compete to go to the World Series.
What's that worth on paper?
Was it? You mean
it's not worth anything.
Of course
you add Skubal, now you have more paper that's worthless.
But the problem is they can hit the ball fine. They have Soto and Lindor, but their pitching stinks.
Yeah.
I mean, and for the record, we knew this going into the year. So
baseball's attendance has bounced back over the past few years, and I remember, and I can't remember when was the last strike? The last labor strike?
94.
Right. We were youngsters then. I was
14.
That
was 30.
Wow. Oh my God.
That's still
remember those days?
That's a long
Knicks NBA Finals, 94.
Thinking back.
OJ Chase.
Been doing a lot of reminiscing lately in my life, and this is one of them. So
you have a lot of time on your hands, bro.
A lot of reflecting.
Listen, you have a divorce, your kids are gone. Yeah. I mean, what's next? I mean, you have a lot of time on your hands now.
With first ex-wives, it's a bizarre situation. Like, the whole thing is like, anyway. So they're talking about going on strike again, and they have momentum. Do we are we concerned about this? Like, you don't need a work stoppage, I know that, but what's your thoughts on this? I mean, the points of contention, revenue sharing, salaries, which is absolutely insane to me, and then competitive balance. What's your thoughts?
Well, the owners want the cap. The players don't. Every other sports league, I think, has a cap except these guys. That's the problem, and that was a problem in '94. That's where they strike then. I don't know where the issue in baseball is that the labor guys have always been super strong. Like, they've had super strong representation, and the owners, unlike in the other leagues where they were able to just ram through whatever they initially wanted to get through, in baseball they haven't been able to do that. So I don't know if the union's still quite as strong as it was. If it is, the owners aren't going to get this. But if it's not, this is something they've wanted for over 30 years. They see how it works in football, that they can keep some of these costs at least reined in a little bit, and you're not going to have a Dodger situation where they're just paying everybody. And I know we got the luxury tax, but it still doesn't stop these guys really that have this kind of mega money to paying all these guys. The luxury tax is just the cost of doing business to them. So if you had a true cap, then the owners are going to say it levels the playing field. It gives a team like the Pirates and some other teams, smaller markets, the ability to operate within that structure. So, and the other thing is public sentiment on their side. Is the public more like, we'd like to be more competitive in Pittsburgh or Milwaukee or wherever it is, smaller market. We'd like to be more competitive, and this helps us become more competitive. That's the other, problem with this thing is, I don't know where the public is. I don't think the public likes the players, and I know they don't like the owners. So it's one of those. I don't know where this is going to end up. I do think the owners are probably going to stop things. They want this that badly, and then it just comes down to how strong the union is for Major League Baseball to deal with this, like they were in '94. I don't know. I don't know what the strength is compared to '94 when you had Marvin. What's his name?
I remember.
He was so strong.
He was best union leader.
Absolutely, he was. And so that's what the owners have to try and ascertain is, do we think we're strong enough? Maybe not in the public sentiment, but in just general, that we can take over, what these the union representation wants, and that's what they got away. But I think we're going to be close to stopping because I know they want this really bad.
Right, and then there's also the risk though if you do strike, and see how long it goes. Let's say it goes into the season leads the season next year. In the era now of streaming and other distractions, now you may end up hurting the sport long term, worse than he did in '94, because that '94 strike hurt the product for a good while, for a very good while. So there's that also. There's that balance, But at the end of the day, too, also they want a cap, and I'm okay with a cap to some degree, but I'm more interested in it on the floor because you have a two-part problem here. You have teams that spend.
You're right. There's teams like the Pirates that won't spend, so you want to make them spend.
But there are teams like the Marlins who will take revenue sharing and not spend the money. So I think the NBA model is probably the best way to look at because they've added the tier system now where you have the apron. It's called the apron. They have 2 aprons now where you spend a certain kind of money, then you got to pay this kind of money, but it's also salary floor. Which you watch the NBA these days, the last 5-10 years now, the parity's back. We're going to have an 8th different NBA champion this year. The parity is in the league now. And I think the NBA model is probably the best way for baseball to look at because I don't think a hard cap would work in a sport where, like, the big market teams are the big market teams. And it's not fair to them to not be able to spend money because we're New York. You know what I'm saying? The NFL is unique. The NFL is what it is. It's unique. Baseball, I think, needs a little more flexibility with that. But at the same time, you also need to put pressure on the teams that are not spending money.
I got it. I know how to do that.
Go ahead.
All right.
What is that?
This is a very simple fix.
Go ahead,
Let's look across the great pond over here. What they do in soccer, where a team gets relegated and gets sent back when they're the worst 2 teams. If you underperform, you get literally kicked out of the league, and they bring in other 2 teams from it would be the minors or whatever. So you could have teams that are like the fringe teams, and if somebody fails and starts failing consistently, they get the boot. You remove them, somebody else slides in. Okay, now are you going to invest in your team or not? What's it worth to you to invest in it to get back in this league? So maybe that's something that could be considered. I know it's
a great idea.
It's an outland.
Never happened.
It works in soccer. These teams and those teams. The excitement for the teams that are absolutely terrible, that are all the way at the bottom in these leagues, in soccer leagues or football leagues in Europe, they're all the way at the bottom, and those teams are fighting and kicking and scratching not to be dead last and get kicked out of leagues. It fixes a couple of things. It fixes tanking at the end of the season. It fixes not spending money on salaries to keep competitive. Mm-hmm. Let's think about it for a second. There is something there with that to be said. You could do it in all sports. You could do it in college or whatever. Teams in the SEC or whatever. If you're not, you can't do it in football.
No, and nor should you. I'm going to say, can you imagine football had the worst team? Who was the worst team last year in football?
Giants.
Besides the Giants. Stop picking on the Giants. But say the Giants. Okay. But even as bad as they are, do you ever see a world? Okay, no football for the Giants this year.
Right.
Come on.
Well, they have. They have things in place to keep them competitive. And baseball doesn't have that, so this is an option.
And they have a hard cap. Number one.
It's something to think about.
Yeah.
At least.
Absolutely. All right. No, I like it.
So PGA news. We stink at this when you're not here, Pat. So we're glad you're back this week. JT Poston wins the Memorial after a missed putt by Ryan Gerard. What's your thought on a putt? Was it makeable? Was it the yips? And how do you feel about that? And what do you think about your guy Scotty coming in 12th?
I got a lot of thoughts there. So, I watched a good chunk of this. I actually did not see the second playoff hole, which is where I guess he missed the putt. And anybody can miss any putt anytime. I don't care whether – if you watch the U.S. Women's Open, they were playing at Riviera, and Nelly Korda is like the superstar of women's golf. She's never won the U.S. Women's Open, so this was like kind of her albatross out there. She had a 2.5-foot putt to win the thing. She did everything she could to miss that. She's the best player in women's golf, and it's not close. And she almost missed this. If you ask her, she probably thought she did miss it because she decelerated on the putt and was hoping it was going in. And then when you do that in golf, it usually does not go in. So I don't fault the guy for missing a putt. The Memorial, I think, is just a great golf course. It's a great tournament with Jack still alive, and he's there, and just the aura of having, really one of the legends of golf still, able to go to his own tournament and stuff. I'm fortunate that I get the chance to play Muirfield usually a couple times a year. It is extremely hard. If you looked at Friday's round, the scoring average, I think, was 74.1, and Poston shot a 65 that day. For a pro to shoot 9 shots better than what the scoring average is unheard of. I mean, that's ridiculously a good round of golf. I think the next lowest round was like 69. So he played his rear end off for most of the tournament until that last day, and then he came back to earth a little bit. He made some clutch putts down at the end. I think on 18 he made a good one to get into the playoff with Gerard. And, it just those things can happen in golf. So I don't fault Gerard for missing or anything. He made a long putt on 17 just to, get himself set up to get into the playoffs. So he did what he needed to do. My thoughts, though, are a quick couple thoughts. Both these guys, Poston and Gerard, at different points made long putts that weren't for the win or anything and gave like a big yell and like a, come on, one of those, let's go, come on. And I'm like, dude, the tournament isn't over. Like, you need to relax and get back into it. Yeah, you made a great putt and all that, but you still got another hole to play, or you got another shot to play. That's something that's starting to happen in golf now that I'm like, what are you doing? You didn't win the tournament. Enough with the let's go, but it's way over the top for just making a putt. So they got to calm down on that stuff. Okay. Unless it's actually for the win, then you can go nuts and take your clothes off if you want. But in the meantime, contain it. That's the great thing about golf. You've got to maintain your focus.
For it.
Scotty, I am worried about him. I'm worried not in the sense that he's not going to win tournaments anymore or anything like that. He's a great player. He's still going to win. But I think what I'm seeing out of him is what we saw, if you want to go back 25 years, a guy like David Duval, just a few years ago, a guy like Bruce Koepka. They had these really, really intense, great runs for like 2 years, a year and a half, where they were like unbelievable, unbeatable, winning all this stuff, and then it just ended. Yeah. And they were still really good players. They'd win the occasional tournament, but they weren't in that Brooks Koepka. They weren't in that level of I'm going to play the U.S. Open and I'm winning it. And I'm worried that Scotty, with whatever's going on with his putting. And his the other stat with him that I saw last year and the year before that, he was like number one on tour in and it's great they come up with these stats where balls closest to the hole, like on his second shots or third shots if it's a par 5. Like he was within 10 feet or some number, and he was number one on tour of that. Now he's like 20 feet away, not 10. So he's in like the 30s with that stat. That's the difference. Now the pressure's on the putting to make a 20-footer, which even the pros don't make a ton of those, versus a 10-footer, which they can make, or 3 putting from 20 feet, which you're going to do occasionally, versus almost never doing that from 10 feet. So things are happening in his game: putting, distance control, driving the ball accurately, those types of things that you might not notice them to the naked eye, but all of a sudden you're like, hey, this guy's tying for 12th now, where he was coming in second, every tournament. Now it's like getting a little bit worse. Yeah. I think this tournament at Shinnecock, the U.S. Open, in a couple of weeks is humongous for him. If he's the guy that we think is going to take over for Tiger Woods or whatever we think is going to happen from a stars standpoint with him, he better win the U.S. Open, or I at least put up one heck of a fight, because if he's like 12th or 15th or whatever, I really think it's just going to be, we just saw an asteroid or a comet go by the sky, and it was great for a couple years, and now he's just going to be an pretty good player and win something.
It's the best for my game.
Well, for an amateur or somebody starting out, you want to be able to drive the ball accurately. Okay. If you're not driving the ball accurately, that sets up everything else with your game. If you're duffing it, if you're popping it up, if you're hitting it way left, way right, you're not scoring at all. You're hoping to get it back in the fairway and then getting on the green and maybe 2-putting for a bogey. Right. So driving for an amateur just starting out, to me, is the most important part of your game, because you need to start the setup of the rest of your game from there. Iron shots, for me, are important, don't get me wrong, but that's where pros really separate themselves from amateurs. They're excellent ball strikers and getting the ball on the green and that kind of stuff. There's a series of levels that you have to go through with your irons once you get the driver sort of in play, and that's how far am I going to hit it, and then where am I going to hit it with the club? Right. So then that takes a long time, Noah. You got to know.
Guy pulls out a 6-iron. He's
that's
like,
what this
looks like a 6. I'm like, it looks like a 6. My 3 or my driver might hit it that far.
Well, that's what I mean. So don't even compare yourself to pros in their distances. It's insane. This guy, I don't know if it was Poston or Gerard, on 18 at Memorial, it's a dead uphill hole. It's brutal. He's 171 and he's hitting a wedge. That's incomprehensible to me. I'm hitting a hard 5-iron there, hard 5-iron. This guy hits a wedge and it's on the green. So you can't compare yourself to that. No. But what you have to do is figure out, all right, my stock 6-iron, how far am I hitting it? Where am I hitting it? And then my hard 6-iron, my easy 6-iron, all that kind of stuff factors into it. So iron play is going to take you the longest to get comfortable with distances and where it's going. And then putting's just a gift. If you're a good, I think you can practice as much as you want
on LBI.
And you're either going to be a pretty good putter or you're not. I know a lot of golfers are going to disagree with me on this, But Gigi Rodriguez had a great saying. He's like, putting is not golf. He's like, you should hit onto the green, and whatever. If you're there in 2, you give yourself 2 strokes, and that's what your score is. Like he's like, there should not.
2 shots.
He's like, putting is not golf, and in a weird way, he's right. It's like croquet. It's like a small version of croquet where you're using small muscles and all this. Not like where the rest of it, you're swinging your rear end off. So putting is you're either going to be good at putting, and you're going to figure that out pretty quickly. Like how Jack Nicklaus always said, he's like, line up. If you look at Nicklaus, how he putted, he was way open with a putter, like way open. Tiger's not like that. Most guys are trained to be like, your eyes need to be right over the ball. And Lee Trevino didn't putt like that. You can putt. Nicklaus has always said that. He's like, putt however you feel comfortable, and just keep grinding away at that. So you'll find out pretty soon playing, like, all right, I'm either a good putter or I'm not. You can work on some things with it, but I'd say the key for you is driver, find something that's comfortable for you and gets you in a general 50-yard area of where you're going. The irons are going to take a long time if you're serious about it, but you can get away with bad iron shots if you're a good putter.
I'll pay a chunk to see Noah swing.
There you go.
No, we're going to have it. There you go. Yeah, I must have drove it 500 yards there.
The arms got a little smaller now.
I'll keep everybody updated on that. All right, so moving on. The Knicks.
Your Knicks.
My Knicks and my – all right, let's start with the game itself. Ernest, you're the
expert.
The expert on
Allegedly.
the NBA. What are your thoughts? I mean, you go back to the Garden, you come out 2-0 somehow, leaving San Antonio, which is absolutely wild. Mm-hmm. And then you have all the momentum in the world, and you go into the Madison Square Garden, which is arguably one of the toughest places in sports to win, and you throw that thing up there. What do you think, Ernest?
If you told me at halftime of Game 3 that they would come back and be 2-1, because first of all, I picked the sweep before Game 3 anyway.
Yeah.
But all 3 games have similar stories here. The Spurs in all 3 games held a double-digit lead and blew it, okay? Happened again Game 3, happened in the second quarter, and they blew it. And the momentum was on New York's side going to halftime. And then something happened there. There's some weirdness. Wemby got hot, and then the role players played well. It's weird seeing 3 road teams so far run this thing here. And I got to say right now, Game 4 tonight is a must-win for the Knicks. Must-win, because you had opportunity to bury those young players after Game 2 and stay on the gas. The one thing you don't want for Game 4, if you guys lose Game 4, is now those young players getting confidence after being buried and getting a taste of this thing now. Because now you have a brand new series, best of 3 going to San Antonio. And look, these rosters are even, in my opinion. The big difference, though, is Wembanyama. Mm-hmm. And he's getting all this experience on the fly. People forget, this is Wemby's first time not only in the finals.
Right.
This is his first ever playoff run, ever. And it has been parlayed into a finals berth and possibly a championship. So he's getting all this learning and all this experience on the fly.
Right. Do you know he's 1 for 11 or 1 for 12 on game-winning shots at the end of regulation? Did you know that?
No, I didn't notice that.
1 for 12.
But that's right.
So there's something to be said for you need to be able to hit those things. That's what Jordan was always good at and all the all-time greats. You got to start converting those things.
But the thing is, I'm not going to ask a center to be that. You don't normally ask a center to be
He's not a center, but okay.
I mean,
not really,
by virtue,
yeah.
I get what you're saying, though. But, a lot of times with this, a lot of star players, very, very rare do you see star players. Most star players have to go through a process, a journey, a 6-7 year journey to get to the title. Now, there are some exceptions, obviously, with Kobe and Magic and Tim Duncan and Larry Bird, because when they got through the situations, they were already in place and prepared to win titles immediately. Mm-hmm. Okay? Wemby was not. So this is very special here. But, again, Game 4 tonight for the Knicks, must win, because if they lose this game, then you have a situation, again, that this series to me is all about mental. San Antonio, blowing those leads in games 1 and 2, especially 2. The reason that's a Knicks sweep is because a young team coming back from that, blowing 2 leads like that, and having to go into New York with the president there and the environment there of the Knicks fans there, you're asking for a lot. So the fact they went there and did that in Game 3, that says a lot about this team's maturity.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Pat, you following the series? Are you enjoying it so far?
I'm watching a little bit of it. I will say this: prior to Game 3, I thought that, and again, I've not been watching a lot of the Knicks the whole year, but I watched Game 1 and 2. They're the best passing team I've seen in a long time.
Their one sequence they had.
They distribute the ball, and they get the Knicks are really good.
And guess what? That didn't happen not by accident, but they did that on the fly. That's happened during this playoffs. That's not who they are until literally in late April.
I mean, for a guy like me to notice that, I'm like, this team distributes the ball, man. They find the open guy, and then that guy hits it. Now they didn't do it as much in Game 3, but that was my first observation. Second observation, I agree with you, Ernest. I think I don't want to put too much pressure on, but I think Wemby is on the cusp of becoming unbelievably dominant. If he can get himself, his head, he's got to start hitting shots. You're right. If you're gonna be Michael Jordan tall, you need to be start hitting the bigger shots. But I really think if just what you said, if they win this game, he's going to be like, we're the better team. He was doubting that
confidence
the first two games.
I'm amped up now.
And then they could be good for a long time after this. So the Knicks need to win this series because I don't know if they're going to get a chance again.
I'm so glad you said that, Pat.
When this guy turns it on.
Because this has been my point for the last few months now. This is going to be the worst version of Spurs you're going to see for the next 5-10 years.
That's what I mean.
Okay?
I agree with you.
So if you're going to get a title right now,
you better get it.
You win those now. The Knicks, they may not be able to get back here next year. Not because they're not good enough, but the East will be better. You got Boston back fully healthy with Tatum full year. Indiana's back with Halliburton. You got teams on the rise. And again, the Knicks will be in the picture, but they're a little older. Not old, but a little older, and there's a little more challenges there. But at the same time, that Spurs team is in the almost league for the next five
Here's something to touch
years.
on the ball movement. In that one sequence I watched, and it was the best. They're arguing it was the best in NBA history. The sequence, it was almost like the full clock where they pass it full court across, past these angled passes. But there might be a reason behind that is because Wemby's such a dominating presence that you can't let him be anywhere near where you're going to try to shoot that ball because his range is so big. So I think
he alters shots. You've seen in the series. Having said that, I think Knicks win Game 4 tonight. Again, don't take my word for that because I'm running bad right now on bets. But Knicks win Game 4 tonight, lose Game 5, win Game 6, win the title. However, if they lose tonight, oh boy.
So how about real quick though, Noah? Did you guys listen to the chief of police and I don't know if it was the city manager or something before Game 3? Now I get it. Trump's coming in and they're trying to tell everybody come early and all this stuff. But if you listen to the press conference, they're like, "We know you guys want to celebrate. We know this is a historic moment for the Knicks." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Are you saying that this is it? They're winning the?" I'm like, "You can't go out there and be like, oh my God!" I was like, "You need to take all of that back." Like it's like we know you want to celebrate. We know this is historic that the Knicks are going to win, and I'm like, oh my God, somebody get up there and get the mic from this woman.
A couple things with that. My good buddy, he threw out there, and we've been Knicks fans since we were 13, and he threw out there that we're going to blow this thing. He said it, and he's like, I don't know if he's kidding. I'm like, did you just do that? I don't know. He's like a Giants fan.
After the game?
No.
You know what it is? It's PTSD. It's PTSD. It's sports PTSD,
but he says
bro.
it. You can't put that out in the world. Well, so let's talk about real quick another thing. The tickets are insane. It's a who's who. It's a celebrity. The people in Manhattan, they have too much money. Whatever they're doing there, they have all the money in the world. Everybody in there.
Courtside seats were like $1 million. Somebody told me.
Yeah,
like if you wanted to sit courtside, it was $1 million.
Money. Like that's not even real.
I can be James Dolan, and I'm not paying that kind of money for a ticket. I'm sorry. I'll be in my house watching it with my fridge.
So that's insane. But then, so now we're going to go talk about the fan base there. We have a problem there in the city. I'm arguably a fan of the two worst fan bases. and you could, I actually think I have that title right now. Between the Philadelphia Eagles and now the New York Knicks and their antics, what they did, I know your thoughts on this already, Pat, but what they, did you see?
I don't know how you can categorize specifically who the worst fans are by behavior. I think it's a shame in a way in a lot of big cities now. It just seems like it gives you a carte blanche to go do whatever damage you want to do and be like, well, we're celebrating. I'm like, it's just a shame that our society has become this accepting of the turning over cars,
beating a guy out. Did you see what they did to a Spurs fan in the jersey?
They got the bus sign and one guy's hitting him over another guy. I'm just like, what? When did this become all right? It's acceptable to do. But I do think Philadelphia fans are the worst. Oh, man. And I hate to say, especially Eagles fans, they're horrible. Yeah. I mean, Phillies fans can be bad. Flyers fans are definitely bad. Sixers fans are kind of non-existent anymore. Yeah. But the Eagles fans are tough. They're believe it or not, Dodgers fans are really bad.
Oh, horrible.
Beyond belief how bad they are. Cardinals fans are the best. San Diego fans are really good. But man, oh man, from what I'm seeing out of the Knicks, they're getting up there.
Imagine if Compton was in Philadelphia, like right there. We'd really have all kinds of problems.
I hate things like this though, because it's so binary. Because again, it's all relative to the base. I mean, every fan base in existence has a element. Okay, some more than others because some bases are bigger than others.
What's a Marlins element, Ernest?
There's still bad Marlins fans out there. Maybe one or two of them, but it's still an
Element.
It's
the Jaguars.
small,
Duval.
Right. Duval.
Yeah, that's your element. Right?
No, but again, the Knicks are obviously the biggest fan base arguably in the NBA, maybe in sports also too. Also, they're certainly most thirstiest behind the Cowboys. I'll tell you that much right now. But I hate these questions because of the fact that it puts in a scope that that represents who I am. No, I'm not that way.
Right? You guys don't look at me that way, right?
No, you're pretty. You're right. I mean, you're passionate, but you're not. You're not
throwing
jerk.
beer on people and punching them.
Are you getting the fights? No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, come on,
yeah,
bro.
but I do carry a little bit of the obnoxious
Are you
type
but
fan.
are you
Yeah,
getting
but you're
right?
not gonna
Are
get
you getting
physical
violent?
with
Are you getting
somebody.
violent with anybody there?
I don't.
That's
no,
what I'm talking about.
I'm not.
I'm
a pacifist
and that's the
Philadelphia
level,
Eagles fan.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a
So
pacifist.
it's a silly. You know what I mean? Like, grow up. It's a sports in a day.
Yeah,
it's a sports.
no need for violence. All right, on to NHL news. Last night's game, they tied it up. The Knights almost came back. Carolina had a big lead, and another lead was blown, and they almost came back. But then in the third period, they pulled away. Pat, what do you think?
I'm going to give you a hot take here.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a hot take.
Yeah.
NBA Finals and NHL Finals might be the best
Wow.
I've seen in 20 years. Both of them.
Combo running,
Both
yeah.
of them. At the same time. Usually one of these is
Okay.
a blowout or
Yeah,
whatever.
20 years.
These games, the first three games of the NBA have been a one-bucket game in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's the fourth time that's happened since like 1972.
Yeah.
This series here, like you said, 4-0. It's never been blown in the third period ever, and Vegas almost did it. Like it's 0 and 108, and they almost blew that. These games are all really good games. So in both the NBA and the NHL. So if you're a fan of just sports in general, and I'm not obviously a super big NBA fan. Yeah. I'm a hockey fan, but I'm more of a Panther fan than just hockey in general. But these are really good series, both of them. And if you can't get into them, you're probably not a fan of these sports at all because they're really good. That game last night was awesome. Jordan Staal, he's like 100 years old, scored 2 games, and the one goal was like Bobby Orr back against St. Louis in 1970. Like he's on his back and flipping it behind the guy. I mean, if you really like hockey, you can't not love what's going on with this NHL final. These are really good games.
The only comp, and you're actually kind of right, Pax. I was thinking about this. The last time I saw finals and a Stanley Cup be competitive, and I'm looking at base. Now we're looking at base on a 3-game, 4-game sample in both series. 94.
I'm telling
Knicks,
you, it's
Knicks,
been a long
Rockets,
time.
Game 7 went to 7. Rangers and Canucks went to Game 7.
Yeah,
so
good
you're right,
point.
Pat. I can't. Anything else in the last 20 years? I can't think of.
I
really.
can't think. Most of the time, not most of them, but a lot of the times, one of them's like 5-1, or the games stink, and it might go 6, but the games aren't really that good. But both these series, like you said, if San Antonio wins tonight, I don't know if it's going 7, but it's at least going 6.
Yeah.
Same thing. This is already going 6. So these are good games.
Yeah.
So I'm going out to the World Series of Poker out in Vegas, and I'm hoping to parlay into some of the connections I know to somebody get me into that Knights game. And I'm going to be like literally right there. It's going to be kind of wild. If you had a choice to be the best goal scorer in hockey or the best goalie in hockey, what are you going to be?
Oh man, the scorers,
right?
The guy get all the accolades.
Yeah.
I mean,
But who's actually more?
Well, the
important?
goalies win. I said goalie's probably one of the more underrated positions in sports because much like we talk about quarterback in football, if you don't have a goalie, look at Edmonton the last few years.
Right.
If you don't have a really, really good goalie, you're not winning the Stanley Cup. So you have to have a good goalie. They're the guys that are maybe not getting all the accolades and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't have one, you're not winning it. You can have Connor McDavid playing at an unbelievable hair-on-fire level, but you got Skinner as his goalie, and it ain't going to work. So I would rather be the scorer because I'm a show-off and all that stuff.
Okay.
But, I mean, for winning, you want to be the goalie.
My actual personality will say goalie because I'm more Demir and Quam, but goal scorer, of course, is the answer because you get all the money, you get all the attention, you get all the chicks. I mean, come on, that's easy.
You're trying to get chicks. So I'm maybe a defenseman. Like I'd like to be the enforcer guy back there, like Scott Stevens, or somebody score a little bit.
I hated Scott Stevens. Man.
I bet.
He to me is one of the dirtiest players
He
of
is.
all time.
I'm him. I think I would
hated
like.
him.
Yeah.
You ever seen him play basketball before?
The guy to fight.
He's definitely,
you got to get in there
dirty.
and mix it up and fight. So that was an interesting segment. Are we going through the commercials today or no? You don't trust me for that?
We're just zipping
So all
through
right,
everything.
we're just going through. So the World Cup predictions. So I did some research, and I don't get warmed up into this until we actually get right to it. But it was kind of cool. I live literally like 2 miles away from where England is, right where we're at. England's practicing the PGA, like at that
are
soccer
Cool.
thing they built. So the team's there, the whole England team. So if you hear anybody speaking old English, I guess it would be, and you hear them ordering, biscuits
Tea
or
and
whatever.
crickets?
Yeah. So you know why it is. But so have you looked? Have you scouted out a team? Unfortunately, Italy. They didn't make it, which is I'm like these are my people. We didn't even make it, so I don't know what's going on there. But who do you like?
Well, I think a lot of the things I've read are you got France,
Yeah.
Spain, Brazil, and then one of the outside team that could win is the Netherlands. So
Whoa.
I'm going to go with the Netherlands. I don't think they're going to win.
You gonna bet it?
But somebody did a whole analysis of previous World Cup champions, and it only comes from like this one tier of like 5 teams, and those teams I just mentioned. So we can all hope and pray that the USA does something, but the odds of them actually getting even into the final are ridiculously high, so, much like getting out of their own group. So I would probably, I would say France or Spain, but if you want a little bit of a dark horse, I'm going to go Netherlands.
What do you think,
Well,
Ernest?
France is probably the favorite, right? I'm assuming the France is the favorites.
I think
No, they are not. They're the second favorite, and I got a point on that. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna take Brazil.
Yeah, I
take
believe
Brazil.
they're the
Go
number
old
one
school.
favorite. So France has 3 of the top 5 players in the world.
Yeah.
They got Olise,
Mbappé.
Dembele, and Mbappe.
Mbappe. Right.
I don't know how you're not the favorite, but they're not, and that's part of my sports bet that's going to come up. But yeah, that's who I got. So USA gets that free pass because they're hosting, which is always weird to me. I always thought that's a
Do
weird
you
thing.
think that matters though? Ultimately,
Yeah,
home field advantage.
the U.S. soccer team isn't in those same brackets as these other teams, like Pat mentioned. Good luck. I mean, we all want this special thing to happen. Good luck with that.
They're in Group D with Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey.
Yeah, not happening. I'm taking France there in the second favorite.
Yeah.
So then last thing, we have our sports bets of the week. What do you like either tonight or for the World Cup, or what do you think?
I'm going to stay away from the World Cup. Boy, tonight's a tough one, man. I sort of there's logic part of me that wants to say what Ernest is saying, like the Knicks are going to win and then eventually win the series. But man, I don't know that. That was a shocking win to me by San Antonio. I didn't think there was any way they were winning Game 3. I just didn't. I thought they mentally were done, but they found something, and I think they keep it going. I'm going to take the Spurs tonight. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win the series, but like Ernest said, they're going to have a ton of momentum after this. And if they don't go back home and just say, oh, well, now we're going to win it, the Knicks can still beat them. But I'm going to take the Spurs tonight.
Well, like I said, don't go with me because I
you took the Knicks, didn't you?
Yeah, so you made the right move. Good job. Four bet parlay on the same game parlay here. Knicks minus 2.5, over 216.5 points. Jalen Brunson bounces back over 27.5 points, and Karl Anthony Towns over 17.5 points. Because if the Knicks win, he's got to step up again.
I don't think he had any points in the fourth quarter.
No. They went cold in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And yet they almost won the game anyway.
Yeah.
So you know how I like to pick champions. So I got the Knicks winning tonight minus 1.5, and then I'm gonna piggyback it with France winning the World Cup. So you can do interesting things on these betting platforms where you can bet a current game and then like a futures bet. So I'm gonna do that. So with that, because if I put France on with the Knicks tonight for $50, you get 560. So if you're really confident, which I am in France and their players, you could start piggybacking these things and really start.
So Knicks win, you gotta wait a month and a half.
But you have huge extra value for $50. And I think France is a huge favorite. So yeah, that's my bet of the week.
No, what's your odds, future odds of getting married again?
It's we are talking
10
the
to 1?
longest shot. No, we're I don't even know. All bets are off. The bookie is not taking
off.
bets on that.
They
It's
take it
off.
off?
The bets are off.
It's too
Put it this way.
high.
It's
You
off.
got a better
Oh, my
shot.
God.
It is
Married.
off the board. You can't get any
Browns
money
have
down
better-
on it. You
the
cannot
Browns
get it
have
on
better
it.
shot win the Super Bowl than you get married again.
that would
I think.
feed small countries
that
if
way.
that ever hit.
I want to take some. I'm putting money on it. He's going to do it again. He will find love again. You mark my words. Mark this down.
Oh, he'll find
Write it
love.
down.
He'll find love and as a girlfriend and a fiance, but
It'll
no
be
marriage.
too strong. It'll be too strong.
The bet's a
He'll
marriage,
want the
though.
commitment.
This show is over.
Bye-bye.
Hey, from all of us.
High hands in June, by the way.
Oh man, that was too easy. I'm sorry.
Cut it.
I was waiting.
PBKC is your entertainment destination for poker, table games, OTV, Paddock live events, and exceptional eats. The Paddock Restaurant is perfect for meetings, corporate functions, parties, fundraising, and more. Call 561-683-2222, extension 199, and book your next event today.
See you at the World Cup.